So if you grew up in the 2000s, you know that America's Next Top Model wasn't just another TV show. It was a full-blown cultural event. Well, it's back in the spotlight, but this time it's the star of a new Netflix documentary called Reality Check. Today we're going to break down what this documentary spills about the iconic and, yeah, often controversial show that basically defined a whole era of reality TV.
Oh, yeah, you remember it. The catchphrases, those insane photo shoots, and that dream of being on top. For more than 20 years, ANTM sold us this incredible high-fashion fantasy, a world where Tyra Banks could pluck you from obscurity and make you a superstar. It was dramatic, it was addictive, and you absolutely couldn't escape it.
And that's the big question, right? Underneath all the glitter and the high-stakes competition, what was actually happening? Well, that's exactly what this new documentary digs into, and it's what we're about to get into right now. So, first things first, what is this reality check documentary that has everybody talking? Let's lay it out. Look, this is not your typical Where Are They Now reunion special. No way. Reality Check goes so much deeper. It looks at the show's huge legacy, how it both shaped and complicated our ideas of beauty, and its undeniable role in making reality TV the giant it is today. And of course, you can't even begin to talk about Top Model without talking about its creator, the one and only Tyra Banks. The documentary spends a lot of time on her original vision and how its impact has evolved over the years.
What's so fascinating here is seeing the show's entire journey laid out. I mean, when ANTM first hit the air in 2003, it was a game changer. Tyra wasn't just hosting a contest. She was forcing a conversation about diversity and different kinds of beauty onto mainstream television. And the doc has Tyra herself reflecting on all of this, how the show was meant to be about confidence, not just fashion. But as you can see, it also shows how our culture has changed, leading to this big re-examination we're seeing today.
Okay, let's get to what is, for my money, the most powerful part of the whole documentary, finally hearing from the women who actually lived through it, the former contestants.
This is where the documentary gets really smart. It builds its story around these raw, honest, and personal accounts. By putting people like Sarah Hartshorn front and center, it cuts through all the production talk and gets right to the heart of what it felt like to be on that show. These are the voices we've been waiting to hear. And what do they talk about? Well, it's a whole journey. First, they dive into the sheer crushing pressure of the competition itself. Then, they really open up about the emotional cost of having your life filmed 24/7, where any moment of weakness could become a major plot point. And finally, they explore what happens when the cameras turn off, how the show totally reshaped their careers, their self-worth, and their lives in ways they never saw coming.
You know we can't tell the ANTM story without celebrating the legendary runway coach, the one, the only, Miss J. Miss J, J. Alexander, was so much more than just a coach, right? He was this incredible mentor and a massive fan favorite whose energy just exploded off the screen. Reality Check definitely gives him his flowers, but it also shares a really personal update. Miss J actually suffered a stroke in late 2024 and spent time in a coma. The good news is he's been on the road to recovery. It's this really powerful story of resilience that ties back to a central theme of the doc, finding your strength, whether you're on a runway or not.
All right, let's get into the stuff that's been stirring up a lot of conversation. The documentary absolutely does not pull any punches when it comes to the controversies that have been attached to the show for years. And this is where Reality Check really gets serious. It puts the show's biggest criticisms right out in the open. We're talking about the often brutal and totally unrealistic picture it painted of the modeling industry, and the way it sometimes seemed to push contestants to their emotional breaking points for the sake of drama. The doc revisits some of those challenges and makeovers that, when you watch them now, are just yikes. It makes you wonder how we ever saw that as just entertainment. And this comparison here really gets to the heart of it all. The doc does a great job of framing these controversies by showing us the difference between TV in the 2000s and TV now. Back then, it was all about shock value and ratings. Today, we expect and demand a focus on ethical production and the mental health of the people on screen. By showing old clips and pairing them with new interviews, the film makes us see the show as a product of its time, a time that was very, very different. So after all that,
You might be asking, why does a documentary about a 20-year-old reality show matter so much right now?
Well, because it really has something for everyone. It doesn't matter if you are a diehard ANTM fan who could quote every episode, a critic who's always been wary of reality TV, or just someone who's curious about pop culture. This documentary is a genuine conversation starter that offers some serious food for thought.
At the end of the day, this is about way more than just nostalgia. Reality Check is a deep, thoughtful look at a show that literally shaped how a whole generation thinks about beauty, about fame, and about what reality even means on television. It's holding up a mirror, not just to the show, but to all of us who watched it.
And that brings me to my final question for you. After hearing all this, after learning about what the documentary reveals, has it changed how you see this iconic show? It's definitely something worth thinking about.